Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And today we have to talk about some upcoming events. I think most people are probably really excited for these upcoming events from the big three: PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox. After all, we are still waiting on some next generation information for the Xbox Series X as well as the PlayStation 5, and according to a journalist from a well-respected website, says that we may not have to wait for too much longer. Now regarding Nintendo though, I may not have the news that you want to hear, but we are going to talk about all of that here in just a bit, so stay tuned for all of that. As always though, we have plenty more to talk about across the game industry, and for today, let's start off with an alternate reality. See, apparently there has been some weird news surface online over the last 24 hours that shows the Xbox exclusive Gears of War 3 running on a PlayStation 3. Now, I'm not going to post any kind of footage of this leak on my channel, as this is not coming from Epic Games or Microsoft, but this is really odd. So a YouTuber by the name of Proto claims this, however, is the real deal, and it's a May 2011 build, and according to Proto, he or she is the only person that has located this build as far as Proto is aware. Now, the footage shown was running pretty terribly on the PlayStation 3, running at around 15 to 20 frames per second much of the time, with all kinds of technical issues, but this still is odd that it can even run on the PlayStation 3 in the first place, which has caused fans to speculate, was Epic Games at one point in time thinking about porting Gears of War 3, one of Xbox's biggest franchises, over to the PlayStation 3? Now, I don't really know what kind of deal Microsoft and Epic Games had at the time, so I can't say with any kind of certainty that if this was impossible or not. See, at the time, Epic Games did own the Gears of War IP, and it wasn't until 2014 that Microsoft acquired the Gears of War IP from Epic Games and built their own studio to make more Gears games. So it really depends on what kind of deal Epic Games had with Microsoft on Gears of War 3 back in 2011. However, and this is the big part for me, because there has been so much speculation on this recent Gears 3 PS3 footage. Cliff Bleszinski, the creative director for Gears of War 3, said he is 99% sure this is fake. Cliff Bleszinski at the time of 2011 was working with Epic Games, and he didn't leave until 2012, so I would imagine he would know if a PlayStation 3 version ever did exist. So in this case, it probably is a fake, though why this exists, I'm not really sure. Maybe hackers somehow got this extremely buggy version working on a PlayStation 3, but it's still interesting to say the least. Moving on though, we did get an update on a release date for the Mafia Trilogy. We did talk about the Mafia Trilogy last week, and yes, Mafia 1 looks to be the premier title in this trilogy and will be a complete remake, which looks absolutely fantastic, but the release dates are a bit odd to say the very least. So this is how it's going to work. You can actually buy the Mafia Trilogy today for $60 and have access to both Mafia 2 and 3 Definitive Edition today, but Mafia 1 will not be available until August 28th. I guess that would give you ample enough time to play the other two games before Mafia 1 releases, unless you want to start out with the first game. There is another option as well though if you don't want all three games. Instead, you can buy each game individually for $30, so basically if you buy the Trilogy bundle, then you get one game for free. But yeah, if you want some new games to play today, then both Mafia 2 and 3 is available to download right now, so go check that out. I don't know why they didn't just release all three of these games together, but you know, it is what it is. Also, Phantasy Star Online 2 got a release date for Windows 10. It has been available on Xbox for the last couple months, but now it will be heading over to PC on May 27th, though the wording here is Windows 10, so it does not appear to be available on the Steam platform. That's too bad really, as Steam is incredibly popular and it would give it more of a chance to be successful, but either way, the wait for PC fans to play the popular Phantasy Star Online 2 is almost over. You have to keep in mind that fans have been asking Sega to bring this game to the West for like 8 years now, so here we are finally, and hopefully you enjoy it on Windows 10 when it does release on May 27th. I mean, thank you for both Xbox and Sega for porting this over to the West, but you know, hopefully it's successful. I still wish it was on the Steam platform, but it will be available on Windows 10 on May 27th. In other news, we have quite a bit of PlayStation information today as Sony has revealed some subscription numbers. PlayStation Plus has officially reached 41.5 million subscriptions, which that is a lot of money for Sony on a monthly basis. And we also have a PlayStation Now update, which has officially got 2.2 million subscriptions worldwide as of April 2020, which is actually pretty good growth. The last update for PlayStation Now was back in September of 2019 for 1 million subscribers, so within the last 7 months, they have grown by more than 100%, or 1.2 million subscriptions to be exact. That's pretty good growth, and it really is no surprise considering Sony has been trying to improve the service. I think they have been taking notes from the very successful Xbox Game Pass, and they have added direct downloads to PlayStation Now. You do have to remember it used to be just a game streaming service when it first launched, and now that it has direct downloads, subscriptions are going to increase for that matter alone. They have also lowered the price and it's much more affordable now, and they have even been trying to experiment with releasing big first-party games such as God of War on PlayStation Now. Granted, these were only available for a limited time. God of War, as an example, was only available in PlayStation Now for just 3 months, which is probably the most frustrating part about PlayStation Now. I think they should release their big games into PlayStation Now without some limited time frame, and to me, it still seems that Sony has one foot in and one foot out of PlayStation Now. I want them to fully commit to this service, and we have seen the success that you can have in a subscription service like this if you do. Xbox Game Pass has more than 10 million subscribers, which released much later than PlayStation Now, and that's been available since 2015. And one big reason is that Xbox is fully committed to Xbox Game Pass. They release all of their first-party games in it day one, and sure, maybe Sony doesn't need to do that exactly, but even if they release some of their older games without a limited time frame, that would be a positive thing for the service. But even though I still do think that they need to improve PlayStation Now more, it is still an improvement nonetheless, and they are being rewarded for it. Hopefully that is a sign that they will commit to it more going into the future. And for that matter, Sony partnered up with Microsoft to use Azure just last year to improve PlayStation Now. They are a Microsoft partner, so I would expect Sony to continue to improve PlayStation Now as we head into next generation. And speaking of next generation, Jeff Grubb, a reporter for VentureBeat, is claiming to know quite a bit about the upcoming events for Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. Now, Jeff Grubb has been talking a lot about this here recently, and VentureBeat is a well-respected news website, so there is some validity to this report, as I do think he probably has some good sources, though nothing is official just yet either, so do keep that in mind. But regardless, he did post a huge article just today revealing some of the big three's plans, and let's start off with PlayStation. Earlier this month, he was claiming that there would be a big PlayStation 5 event on June 4th, and they would be showing a slate of games, or in other words, a lot of games. In this particular article, he is backtracking a bit here, saying that the PlayStation 5 event is in flux and that the June 4th date is not set in stone, but they are still planning an event in early June. This does add up, as Sony themselves just today said that they are planning to introduce a compelling lineup of titles for the PlayStation 5 soon. So even though we don't have an official date just yet, everything currently is pointing at a June reveal and even early on in June. As for what they are going to show though, Jeff Grubb says that they will be showing first-party games and some third-party games as well, though he is unsure if they will actually reveal the PlayStation 5. Now this is just me speculating, but I do think that they will show the PlayStation 5, but I question on how much information they will give away just yet. Both PlayStation and Xbox are at a bit of a stalemate in terms of pricing, and if Sony does announce the price first, that could determine what Xbox prices the Xbox Series X at. I think Xbox may be willing to take a big loss per unit in order to match the price of the weaker PlayStation 5. That way they can gain market share next generation. So Sony might end up holding off here on pricing, but I think we will at the very least get a look at the PlayStation 5 console itself. I'm honestly curious because the controller has such a futuristic gamer-esque look to it with the two-tone colors, so I want to know what this console is going to look like and how big is it going to be. Will it be similar to the Xbox Series X, or will it have more of a traditional console look to it? I'm very curious, but hopefully we won't have to wait for too much longer. And yeah, Jeff Grubb did talk about the next Xbox event as well, and of course we all know there will be some kind of an event in June. Granted, this Xbox event is not the big event for their first-party games, which will be taking place sometime in July. So what exactly does Xbox have planned for June? Well, according to Jeff Grubb, this event will likely be on either June 9th or the 10th and focus on the new Xbox console itself. Now, what does that mean though? Well, I think that could be a number of different things. If Sony actually does reveal the pricing for the PlayStation 5 ahead of this event, I think we could finally get some pricing for the Xbox Series X as well. They'll probably also talk about some of the new features it includes compared to this generation, and maybe we get some demos and showcases for the power of the Xbox Series X. In the past, they have shown the load speeds with the solid-state drive and game suspension, where you can play multiple games at the same time, and of course my favorite, Smart Delivery, which allows current generation games to be upgraded visually at no extra cost if a developer chooses to support this program. That might not be all though, because one piece of the puzzle that has been missing is Xbox Lockhart. Xbox Lockhart, of course, is meant to be a more affordable next-generation Xbox and reportedly will be targeting 1080p and 60 frames per second. And it has been widely reported that Microsoft has been working on such a console, but it still has yet to be officially announced. Now, maybe it never actually surfaces, but the Series X was named Series for a reason. Its name implies that there is a series of Xboxes coming, and the Series X is meant to be the most powerful console on the market, whereas Lockhart, which I assume will be the Series S, is supposed to be the most affordable next-generation console. I mean, this thing could end up being really cheap, or at least for a launch console. Maybe $400 or even lower than that. And the question that always pops up around this topic is, what about the Xbox One X? It's powerful and it does 4K. Well, that's the thing, and we keep talking about this on the channel. The Xbox One X is a great console, but it's held back by its Jaguar processor, whereas Lockhart will be such a huge step forward in processing power, which is why they will be targeting 60 frames per second and not 30. I do think that the Xbox One X will be phased out, and if you have a 1080p TV, then Lockhart will be a great choice for next-generation consoles. You have to remember that not everybody actually has a 4K TV, so the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X might not be the perfect choice for them. With that said though, we still do have Nintendo to talk about, and if this is true, this is not the best news in the world. But yes, Jeff Grubb is claiming that Nintendo does not have a Nintendo Direct planned currently. Apparently they have been having a hard time dealing with working from home, and they are now telling third-party partners if they have a big announcement, then they should just go ahead and announce it, and not wait for Nintendo. So rather than expecting some big Nintendo Direct coming over the next couple months, we should come to expect more Paper Mario Origami King-like announcements. This means we will probably get random trailers throughout the next couple months in regards to Nintendo. There have been a lot of rumors as to what they could possibly announce. Pikmin 3 Remastered as well as the 3D Mario remasters are more than likely going to happen, so I would expect some kind of an announcement for those here soon. There has been several other leaks as well for a 2D Metroid, so maybe that, and we still don't have much or any information regarding Bayonetta 3. I would like to see that as well, but according to this report, it's just not going to happen with a Nintendo Direct. Now, there is an off chance that this whole report is wrong, as there is nothing confirmed just yet, but considering it is from a well-respected news outlet, I can't imagine that they would put their reputation on the line like this unless they had some good sources. What do you think though? Are you okay if Nintendo doesn't have a Nintendo Direct for their new games? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.